Well, this is Hope. It's another horse I would like to show you on the Chambon today. And again, same girth, same Chambon, just a few more knots, but the principles are the same. So we start with an active walk. Come on. This is one of her difficulties. She tends to lose her balance very quickly. You can see she's pretty overbuilt, pretty downward, like a lot of cutting quarters. She's definitely one of the very functionally built though. Very low center of gravity. Active. Oh, a little bit too much, a little bit too much. See, the moment you ask her to have an active walk, she tends to lose her balance due to her conformation. But that's not terrible. Since I've been working with her, she's actually developed a top line. She was very deer-necked when I started her and very skittish, very explosive. But as you can see now, there's a lot of relaxation, a lot of looseness going on, and she's starting to develop quite a nice musculature on her body. So that's really happy with that. She's very athletic. She has a lot of potential. She doesn't have the best conformation for dressage. Active. But the basics, come active, are the same. Doesn't matter what kind of discipline you do. So we start her out with forward downward, having her nice over her back and arching, but she needs to, again, stay active and have impulsion. Come up. There you go, that's better. That's the response I want. Because we always start with the German training scale. First thing is rhythm first, then connection and looseness. And she's showing a lot of looseness, which is good, but I need her to be nice and rhythmic too. And of course, those aren't like steps, they intertwine. Without one, you can't have the other. But this is really nice. She's nice and rhythmic, and she's moving forward. As you can see, it doesn't matter if you have a draft, a quarter, Dutch warm blood, PRE, Akelteke, Lusitano, Shetland pony for all I care. They function the same way. Active. They have the same amount of bones, the same amount of, roughly the same amount of bones. There's a few differences. Same body structure, same skeletal structure. Tennessee Walker, Rocky Mountain Horse, Falabella, Freiberger, Dutch warm blood, I don't really care, whatever you have. Trakehner, Hanoverian, some mountain pony, they all have the same basic functionality. And so they all, in their basics, need to be trained the same way. They need to arch their back in order to carry a rider without damaging themselves, without developing kissing spine. And that starts with a forward downward movement in a relaxed frame. As you can see, her lower neck is completely disengaged. Her top line is slightly loose now too because she's sticking out too much. And with her, I'll show you another configuration of the Chambon as well. I will show you a different configuration of the Chambon with her as well. I'll first show you walk, trot, canter with her in this configuration, and then I'll switch it up. And you can see the difference of engagement. The other configuration I use when horses have progressed a little more and have achieved looseness and relaxation and are capable of moving over their top line in transitions and staying there and walk, trot, canter. Draf. Ga. Braaf. See that she came up a little, but not detrimental. Come, door. Here in trot, she's still, when she bounces, she's starting to get there. She's going against it a little bit more. Come. See there, she's starting to move out a little bit more, and this is a little bit too deep for me. She loads her forehand too much, especially because she's overbuilt. She cannot drop as much as I would do the draft you just saw. He's a little bit more in balance, just from his conformation out wise. Come on, active. And she is a little bit more, it comes a lot closer with her. Come on, active. There you go, that's better. Forward first, rhythm first. Finish just a little bit. There you go. This is what we want. Not to slow down, keep the rhythm. So she has a short neck relative to her body. It looks longer now than it actually is. But so with her, it comes very close to where she's allowed to go with her neck. If she drops half an inch too much, she will lower her forehand, come up, active, and she will have less functionality in her body. Actually, it's still better than the hollow back, but it's detrimental over time. Or the other configuration that I'll always show you. Come up, active. Need a response when I ask something. This is good. This is nice. Brav, goed zo. Sorry, I throw some Dutch in there now and again just to reward her, because that's her rewarding sound. Come up, active, door. Now she's starting to at least relax. This is what we want. Good girl. Active. Now she's starting to get a little looser, starting to let loose and reach a little bit more for the bit. So I would say this is still very functional work. She's not dropping too much on her forehand. And she's still engaging enough. Want her a little bit more forward. There you go. See, she doesn't like that, but work is work. Active, come. Come on. There we go. Come, a little more. There, this is way better. This is a nice movement, a nice side where you can really see that the shoulder is working and that she's not pulling her front legs up through her lower neck. It's nice and bulging. You can see the protrusion at her lower neck, and then you can see the divot when she gets back into the light. And you can see that she's actually lost a lot of musculature there, which is actually what we want. Her chest or her shoulder musculature needs to increase. That's what you can see, like this very bulging point right there. And then her lower neck needs to basically disappear as much as we can. So right now you see a nice little shadowy divot there every time she pulls back. Tough. That was a good response. That's what we want. Nice active off the aids. She's just looking down and she just wants to come active door. And you can see she's kind of pushing her nose out and lengthening her frame, so that's fine right now. I'm okay with that, but we'll see in a bit how it looks when we configure her slightly differently, and then we tilt the nose in a little bit more and get her a little bit more engaged over her top line, a little bit more engaged. You'll see her balance out a little more. Hello. Come on. She always has difficulty starting the canter here. And door. She tends to tilt her head a lot in canter. Come up, active. Here again, with rhythm first. Active, jumping canter. Of course, she's so downhill built. Come on. That we need to push her forward. Come. So we don't get a lope, but we actually get a canter. Nice 3-beat. There. That's what we want to see. Come on. Come up. For a very sensitive horse, she takes a lot of encouragement sometimes to move forward. This is where she's actually arching up. Now she's against it again. There, this. Then I reward her by letting her come back. This is the other configuration you can use for the Chambon. So you go from the chest to the mouth and then up top. So especially after they've learned to drop when there's pressure at the pole, this still puts pressure, sadly, on the bars, but also on the pole, so they learn to actually drop. This is on the loose side, so I might actually tighten it one, but this is the configuration, and I'll show you in a moment in movement what this looks like. But as you can see, at least she has a nice loose jaw and she's chewing. So the main reason why I'm actually saying that it's too loose is that she was basically standing in a neutral position and nothing was happening, right? I need her to, when she's in neutral position, I need her to be engaged to drop down. If she's not, then what's the point? Then I might as well not put it on. So here again, she's actually stretching a little bit too far out for me. So I'm going to adjust it one more time. So now I tighten it one knot more, and I do this with knots because then I can actually use it for all the horses. And as you can see now, she cannot push out from her vertical position with her nose. That's kind of what we want, right? So now she has to engage in that frame. A little more. Again, I want a response, right? I don't care if she starts to trot, that's better. But I need a response, or else the whip becomes useless over time. So right now you can see already that she's a lot bigger in her gait because she actually has to arch her back here. There's no other option. She can still find release when she is at a certain height with her mouth. If she goes too low, it engages. If she goes too much to the front, it engages. But if she stays at the vertical slightly behind, especially if she's low, she is fine. You can still see her lower neck disengaging and her top line actually engaging this time. So that's what we want to see. I do impress on you if you do not understand the biomechanics behind this and you do not know what you're doing in that sense. Find somebody who does, that can explain it to you, or educate yourself very extensively first before you actually use this configuration or Chambon in general. With the Chambon configuration, it's a little less dangerous, but this can be detrimental, and that's why I only use this for horses that are a little bit more advanced and can actually handle this. I still use a very large circle for her. I can close it and make it bigger just to engage her a little bit more in the hindquarters, but overall I still use a large circle so she can organize herself and start to balance herself. Let's see how she does in trot. Draf. Draf. There she came up, because again I'm asking a lot more arch pressure and a lot more musculature engagement of her. But you can see that she's arching a lot more of her top line, and she's actually stepping further under with her hind leg, and that's what we want to see. This is very good. You can see her facial expression isn't aggressive, her ears are relaxed, her mouth is not tight, her nose is not up. She's not fighting this, but she's just trying to figure out how to engage her. And this is awesome. This is really good. You can see her bouncing a little bit more in her movement. She is bending her joints nice and big, and that's what we want to see. Now we can see the difference in canter. Hello. Come. Nope, wrong canter. There she has to organize herself. Oh, oh. Oh, oh. And again, don't trip over yourself. There she gets tense and does the wrong thing. Hello. Nope, again the wrong thing. Oh, oh. Oh, oh. I'm going to ask her on a straight part right now, not in a curve. Hello. There, and then she picks it up just fine. So when I push her, come up, come up, come up. When I pull her too much to the left, to the inside, she gets out of balance, and that's when she takes the wrong lead. But if I ask her on a straight stretch, she can just pick it up just nicely. And as you can see, her top line is really nicely engaged and arched. She's really struggling right now because this takes a lot of effort. Come up. But you can see how much far. Come up. She steps under with her left hind. She really reaches under her mass. and she's carrying herself very nicely through. She has a hard time keeping her. Come up, come up. 3 beat. Almost done. Oh. You can see that this engagement is more productive and more effective. But again, as previously stated, it's only for horses that have mastered the other type of Chambon, where you can have them not come up in basically any gait, and they will stay low in transitions. Then you can slowly pick them up like this and close them a little bit more down there. As you can see, you see quite a lot of engagement with my whip, and that's just because she needs that forward momentum rhythm, again, to keep herself closed up front, to close that energy loop. Come up. As you can see, she bounces a lot more. It's because she's actually bending her legs instead of just absorbing the concussion in the joints. She's absorbing it in her soft tissue. That's exactly what we want to see. She starts to lick her lips. She has a nice loose jaw. And then she's almost finished. Come up, active. There you go. She responds to my voice. It's even better. I'm gonna point one more thing out. This is kind of just a recap. See, the pelvis is rotating under. The belly is going up. The arch of the top line of their top of her neck. It's a nice arch. It's not straight down. And the disengagement, come up, active, of her lower neck is exactly what we're looking for. And then you see the bulging shoulder instead of the bulging lower neck that pulls the legs up front. And here you see that she's not even curling behind the vertical because she is not long enough in her neck for this. She is actually perfect right there. Come up, active. But she is right on the vertical and she's moving very nicely, especially for her conformation and for her breed. One last thing I'd like to point out, you see that the surcingle is twisting, and that's due to her conformation as well. She is very round barreled. She has almost no to no withers, and which makes it very difficult for stuff to lay on her. Same with fast saddle fitting, it's very difficult on her because she's so round. And again, there's no withers to actually grasp onto, and that's why you can see that the surcingle is twisting. But it doesn't seem to bother her much, which is a good thing. And yeah, I don't really care either, as long as it's safe and as long as it's still connected.